Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to take a look at some Cynthia cards. We have a couple of Cynthia cards that have gone and been revealed. We have a new secret rare, which we're going to look at. And we've got ourselves a new Pokemon we're going to look at, Milotic. But let's start off with the secret rare. We've got ourselves the full art of Cynthia's Garchomp. Now, there's a big question here as to whether Cynthia's Garchomp gets a gold card. I think Cynthia's Garchomp gets a gold card. Remember when we had a look in the previous set, Battle Partners over in Japan, we saw that Iono's Bellibolt and then Zoroark did get gold cards, but Hop Zacian and Lily's Clefairy didn't get gold cards. So I'm telling you that there's a chance that we don't get Garchomp here. I'm assuming, I'm just putting this out there, that Cynthia's Garchomp and Ethan's Ho-Oh should be locked. Like, it should pretty obviously be the two of those that get the gold cards. But I can't guarantee for now. We will have to wait and see. And obviously the gold card is going to be the same as this, but they're going to colour in the trainer and they're going to have it all gold. It's going to be lovely. I adore the gold cards in these new sets. They're absolutely phenomenal. But as a reminder, remember, Cynthia's Garchomp, good card. Like, really good card. The first attack for a single energy does 100 damage, and you can draw until you've got 6 cards in your hand. So finish something off, hopefully, while also drawing a bunch of cards. Yay! And then for 2 energy, 260, you have to discard all energy from this Pokemon. Which generally you're like, oh, 260 is not quite enough. Don't worry about it. We got Cynthia's Roserade, which says that your Cynthia's Pokemon do an extra 30 damage. And there's no restriction there that it doesn't stack. So it does stack, so you can keep going. And it's also worth noting we got the tool card Cynthia's Power Weight, which says that when attached to a Cynthia's Pokemon, they get an extra 70 HP. Yeah. 400 HP Garchomp. I mean, if you've got 2 Roserade, you're hitting 320. That'll KO almost everything. 3 Roserade will KO anything. So you got a 400 HP Pokemon running around KOing everything. I'm just saying that sounds good, right? I'm just saying that sounds like a good thing. And then, of course, we've got ourselves a fancy full art version of it. We have previously seen the special illustration rare, and I do feel very confident that the special illustration rare is going to be the big card in Hot Air Arena. It's going to be absolutely huge. So, yeah, this is something we can get a little bit excited about. Big fan of this. Mostly, I'll be honest with you, it's a special illustration rare, but the full art looks cool, and I think we're getting a gold card. And when the gold card comes, I'm going to be very excited. But hey, you know what? We've also got ourselves Milotic, which does kind of make sense, right? Because Cynthia's Milotic. Like, Cynthia's Milotic is iconic. And the last time we got these trainers Pokemon, we did get a Cynthia with a Milotic. This was Milotic C that we got back in Supreme Victors. And it was, I'll be honest with you, it wasn't very good. I'm sorry, it just wasn't. But that doesn't mean that we can't get excited about this new one. For anyone that's wondering, back in Supreme Victors, in addition to the Milotic, we did get the Garchomp C Level X, which is one of the best cards that has ever been printed. That was Cynthia. She also got the Rayquaza C Level X. And then there was a Togekiss, which you should be expecting. Spiritomb, which you should generally be expecting. Roserade, which you should generally be expecting. Lucario, and Licky. So there were a bunch of Cynthia cards last time round. In terms of ones that actually saw proper significant play, we're really just talking about the Garchomp. But given that Garchomp was literally one of the best cards that was ever printed, I honestly think we can just be alright with this and move on with our lives. So how about this new Milotic? Is this new Milotic any good? The answer is potentially yeah. This actually could be very, very nice indeed. What we've got with this Milotic is an attack for a water and a colorless energy, and it does 60 damage plus 30 to 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon. But remember, we've got Roserade, and honestly, Roserade, I do think helps a lot here. I really do think this one helps. Because 60 to the active, 30 to each of 2 bench Pokemon is fine. But 70 is really a key number for starting to KO evolving basic, smaller support Pokemon, things along those lines. 60, I mean, once upon a time, 60 was a key number. 70 is far bigger. Well, here, you get 1 Roserade out, you're hitting 90 to the active, 30 to each of 2 bench. And you go first, this is a legit turn 2 attack. You go first, you get your Feebas down, attach an energy. And then on your next turn, you attach a second energy, evolve up, and then you hopefully get a Roserade on the bench. And then you're starting to put real pressure on, especially against evolution decks. You are starting to put real significant pressure on here super duper quickly, because you're hopefully taking a prize off of a weak active while doing 30 to each of 2 bench. Again, I just told you that 70 is a key number, far more so nowadays than 60. So yes, doing 30 to the bench rather than, say, 40 also does limit this a tiny bit, because it means you won't be 2-hit KOing a bunch of evolving basics. This is really just getting a bit of cheeky extra damage. And obviously I showed you the new Shaymin cover day, and Shaymin comes in as a bench protector for non-rule box Pokemon. Anyone with a rule box doesn't get the protection, but as I explained to you the other day, Shaymin has to see play because it's the bench protector that we've got. It's the only one we've got. I told you very clearly when I showed you Shaymin that it's not as good as Manaphy. Like, it's just not. It is a worse version of Manaphy. But that doesn't matter. It's only worth comparing the two of them if they're both in the format. And if you want to play an expanded where Manaphy's in the format, yeah, fine, go play Manaphy. But in standard, there's no comparing them. You just have to play Shaymin, or your other option, and there is a second option here, leave your bench unprotected. So obviously, against decks with Shaymin, this is going to be a lot worse. But then there is an argument that this can make people play Shaymin, or it can make people bench Shaymin if it's in the deck, etc. So even that alone could be a nice threat to put towards your opponent. But generally here, I just like this, and a lot of it's because of the support. Again, we've got Cynthia's power weight, which will give you an extra 70 HP. So now, all of a sudden, that Milotic that was looking a bit weak at 130 has now got 200. And if you're doing 90 to the active, and it could be more than 90, let's be clear, with extra Roserade. But if you're doing 90 to the active and 30 to 2 bench Pokemon, and you're sitting there with 200 HP, that basically forces your opponent to have to deal with it, while at the same time making it far more awkward for your opponent to deal with. And you add that all up together, and I think we've got a fairly interesting Pokemon here. I don't think, I don't look at this like I look at Garchomp and go, that's broken, let's build a deck around it. But I do look at this and go, hang on a second, that could be kind of spicy. Now, we do need to mention the energy here, because obviously Garchomp's attacking for fighting energy, and it is just 2 fighting energy. And the other attacker I really like in Cynthia decks is your Spiritomb. And Spiritomb does 10 damage for each damage counter on all of your bench Cynthia's Pokemon. It doesn't hit for weakness, but you should have a bunch of damage on the bench. You'll be fine. But the problem is that with Spiritomb, you're attacking for a colorless energy, and Garchomp, you're attacking for fighting, so you look at that and you're like, oh, cool, I'll just use fighting energy. Lovely. If you want to use Milotic, yes, there is a colorless energy in the attack cost. Yay! But there's also a water energy. So now you've got to play around with a different energy type, and that does impact it. As a side note, we do also have the Feebas here. Feebas has got 30 HP, which is horrendous. But you can use Cynthia's power weight to put it up to 100, which is a very big deal. And it's got an attack for a single colorless energy that does 10 damage, and flip a coin. If heads, it takes no damage or effects of attacks during your opponent's next turn, which is lovely, but it's still a 30 HP basic, which is not ideal. Sorry about that. It's the energy cost that gives me most reservation here. I'm going to give it a tentative between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies. That would be barbaric. There's a lot of good stuff here. I worry about the energy cost, but I do think this could put, especially if you go first, this could put some big pressure on your opponent's Pokemon. Of course, if you go first, your opponent also has a turn to try and KO Feebas, so let's hope we get Cynthia's Power Weight. For now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to know what you think about all of this and whether you think Cynthia's going to be good. So let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassie. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. And get shoutouts on the channel like the lovely It's a Coaster, who's been a supporter of ours for a while now, has been over in the Discord channel away and seems to be a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.